Hey guys, it's Leo with Dreaming Tree, and in this video we're going to show you how to put together the Halloween Paperscape box cards. So Kyle did an awesome job creating 3 different Paperscape box cards. Now in this one here we've got basically like a really cool Bates Motel for all you Psycho fans out there. Really love the design on all these actually, and the really cool part is that these guys fold. Okay, they fold flat, and we've got an envelope that's included that you can actually pop these in and send them to a friend. So we've got 3 different designs, and we've got the black cat. Okay, it's just really quintessential, your stereotypical Halloween scenes, and I just think they look really, really cool. So they go together real easily. Actually, some of you have made our Christmas Paperscape box cards, and the feedback has been awesome. You guys are telling us that, you know, it's not a lot of pieces. It goes together pretty quickly, and the results are just awesome simply because we've included, well, not only the design, obviously, credits to Kyle for that, but we've got these cool little holes back here for electronic tea lights. Okay, so actually, let me show you real quick. And this one's probably my favorite one. The Scarecrow in the pumpkin patch looks really cool. We actually have a link to this really cool LED tea light that has a remote control and you can actually change the colors with. Okay, so you know, basically kind of pop that into the slot there, and hopefully you guys can see that, and change the color to kind of match the colors of paper that you selected when you're creating your box card. So I can't really see what that looks like because I'm behind it, but I think it looks really cool the way it is. A lot of you have found alternates to this one. We do have a direct link to this specific one under the supply list on the product page for these Paperscape box cards. So you can get this exact one, or just any tea light will work and actually bring these to life. So we used graphic 45s and Erie tail paper, but honestly, it doesn't really matter what paper you use. These are going to look awesome. Just make sure that when you're selecting the colors for the backgrounds or for the accent pieces, that your cardstock somewhat matches the colors in the you know, the pattern paper, just to kind of bring it all together. So a lot of it is black cardstock with a few panels here and there, and then some cardstock for the accent pieces. So again, they're very effective, captivating. Kids are gonna love making these. You guys are gonna love making these. Hopefully, you know, you send them out to friends and family, and if you do, it actually would be really cool to include a light for them so that they can illuminate it when they get it. So I would, when you send these out, probably put it in one of those boxes. It does come with an envelope. You could probably send it with just an envelope, maybe put it in a padded envelope. You know, this is not your typical card size. And they are a little delicate because you don't want them going through a machine, so make sure you get them hand canceled. The postage may be a little bit more, but it's totally worth it. So aside from the designer paper, some cardstock, all you're really going to need is glue for this. And you know, obviously you guys always take these to the next level. You can embellish it however you want. You can distress it and ink it. There's little areas up at the top for stamping, also some optional ones that are not on this one here, but we've got optional strips at the bottom. For additional journaling, you can write a little message on there, or if you have a really skinny wide stamp, you can also use that. So I'm just in love with these, and I hope you are too. So let's go ahead and get started with the assembly. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the assembly of the Scarecrow Halloween Paperscape box card. And I'll quickly go through the various pieces just to kind of get you up to speed on what's what. This here is the back side of the card. Here is the front side, okay? And we'll take a look at the rest of the pieces here. Now this piece that I'm bringing in right now is a panel piece that's going to get glued on right there. And as you're gluing it, I would use this area here as a reference as to how to glue it, and just make sure that you've got everything nice and evenly spaced all the way around when you glue that down. Okay, so that's going to get glued there. We have two panels like this. One that's going to go here. You want to make sure that's nice and centered and level at the top and the bottom. And we also have another panel here. And I don't know if you can see, but there are score lines here. These are going to be folded, and we'll go through that here in just a minute. We've got the back panel. Okay, and again, just want to make sure that you've got a nice even border all the way around. Okay, let me go back to the front. We have this optional piece here that you can put in case you have like a really wide caption stamp, or you can actually write something on there if you want. You can put that there if you want. It's completely optional. And actually, this card comes with two different Tombstone panels here that you can use for stamping or journaling. We've got this one that's just a little more, I don't know, clean, I guess. And then we also have this version here that has these really creepy looking wings coming off of this odd shaped tombstone. So that is an option as well as this. And then we have the actual Paperscape portions. Okay, so we've got the Scarecrow here. Okay, and now this one's going to be folded in a mountain fold because this is the backmost part of the scene. We're going to take this white piece and glue it to the back of this. Okay, so when you glue this, you want to make sure that you put glue on the back here, okay, because not all of this is going to be glued to the black part. Some of it is going to be sticking out, so you don't want any glue on this portion here. Okay, so you do want to get that glued into place. And this panel actually, or this white piece, is a little bit less, it's not as wide as the black part, and that's by design so that these don't overlap. Okay, so that's going to be glued that way. And then finally, we have the front of the Paperscape, which is these cool pumpkins. And again, you've got the white piece. It's going to get glued to or behind the black piece. And again, you're going to put glue on this part here and just do your best to line it up with these pieces here to get a nice, even, and accurate background layer. So go ahead and get all that stuff assembled. And actually, you know what? I'm sorry. There are two more pieces that I failed to discuss, but we don't actually want to do anything with these yet. So you want to ignore these and just assemble the rest of the stuff that I just discussed. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces glued together, as you can see here. What we're going to do next is we're going to partially assemble the actual Paperscape. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the tab here from the front and we're going to glue it to this side of the back. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is put some glue down on this here, and I've really found that just less is more. And obviously you want to make sure that it's covered real nice. You don't want to splotch too much on there because then when you glue these pieces together, it tends to want to shoot out and then you got a mess. But if you just get it just right, and you can see here I've got both of these pieces on just a scrap piece of cardstock so that I don't mess up my table, and I'm using the table as a flat surface, getting everything nice and lined. And again, the glue, you've got a few seconds to make minor adjustments as it's drying. Just squeezing all that air out, getting these guys to really get a good grip. Okay, and that looks good. Just want to make sure that we're kind of bending this and folding it as we go to train it to do what we want it to do in the end, and that's fold. Okay, so we've got that assembled. Now, the next step here is to take this orange piece and glue it into place here, okay? And then once you've done that, and you want to make sure that you've got a nice border going all the way around, okay? Make sure it's nice and even and level here. And then we're going to take the moon and just glue it over that hole, Okay, you can ink this, you can do whatever you want to it to embellish it, but that's going to go there. So go ahead and do that, and then we're going to go ahead and put the rest of it together. Okay, so we've got the back panel, or the back part of the Paperscape glued down. We've got the moon in place. And at this point, what we're going to do is just close up the box card, or the Paperscape box card, as we've coined it. And what we're going to do basically is take the glue and just put some glue on this tab here. And I swear that learning how to squeeze the glue is like an art form, because it's almost like a muscle memory. Once you get it, you know that you're getting just the right amount without going overboard, and just really helps keep it consistent so that you're not, shooting out more glue than you need. And actually, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to go ahead and bend this and make it flat so that it's easier to push down and get into place. And again, we just want to make sure that this is nice and lined up with the other side. And while we're doing that, just kind of push that down here, just to make sure that this whole thing folds beautifully. Okay, so there we go. And I'm actually getting a phone call from a Dreaming Tree customer right now. Hopefully their number didn't show up on my Fitbit there. You can ignore that. Okay, so the base of, or the basic structure of the Paperscape box card is done. At this point, we're ready to go ahead and put the scenery in place. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the Scarecrow. And as you can see here, we've got a mountain fold here and a mountain fold here. We're gonna go ahead and place glue on this entire tab, as well as this entire tab. And we're gonna pop that in and glue it to the side. So let's go ahead and do that. Just be careful, because there are a lot of cool, intricate details on this card that really just make it pop, but you wanna just be careful not to bend those things as you're working on this. So putting a nice, generous amount of glue on both of those tabs. Right dead center, because as we push that down, it's going to spread out in both directions. So that looks perfect. You could start at the top or the bottom. I think the bottom is probably better, because ultimately that's where it needs to be. You can make less of a mess, I think. So we're kind of sticking it in there, and we're going to kind of push it down on both sides. Make sure that it's flush with the back. And also kind of stand it up for a second and then push it down. Make sure that it's flush with the bottom. And then once we have both of those in place, you can go ahead and put it on its side, and then get your finger in there and push down to get those tabs to really hold. Okay, I'm going to flip it over this way. Just make sure that that's nice and aligned. Get your finger in there. And actually, get this little poker tool. Kind of use that if it's hard for you to get your fingers in there, just to push that tab down so that it really sticks. And as it's drying, as we said before, you want to make sure that you bend and fold it to sort of train it so that it will fold, so that you can mail it. Okay, I'm going to do it both ways, and that's looking good. Okay, so there's that. That is looking awesome. And finally, now actually, I actually bent this the wrong way. This needs to be a valley fold. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on both of these tabs here. We're going to slide it in. And just repeat that same process and glue that to the side. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Get a nice line of glue there. Nice line of glue there. Beautiful. And they're calling again. Okay. So that looks good. Now we'll pop this on its side. I think it's easier to do it that way. And just push down there, flip it over, and then push down here. It looks like I didn't get enough glue on this little piece here, so I'm just going to fix that real quick. Just make sure that that sticks. But that is pretty much it for this guy. He looks fantastic, and again, as it's drying, just want to make sure that you're folding it just to make sure that it will fold, and you are good to go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put together the Black Cat Halloween Paperscape box card, and here's one version of it. The one that we're going to make is going to look a lot different, but this one's still pretty cool. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the pieces. And just like with the last two, we've got the front piece, it's got the built-in fence, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue this panel on here. Again, just make sure that you've got a nice even border all the way around when you're putting that down. We've got this little panel here for stamping, journaling, or whatever. And of course, the optional one here with the cool little creepy looking wings or whatever you want to call them. There's also a shadow layer that goes behind it to make it pop. Okay, so we've got that, and then there's going to be a panel that goes here. Okay, so that takes care of that piece. And then we've got the back. Okay, so you've got this panel here. It's going to go right on the back. And then a panel here. Okay, and again, actually, sorry, I skipped over something. For the front, we have this optional piece that goes down here in case you have one of those really long stamps and you want to do something with a stamp down here. Okay, and we have the background, okay, with the moon, and this is basically just a placeholder so that you know where to put the moon. Okay, it's going to go on top. We're going to do that later. You don't need to put that together just yet. And then we have two additional pieces to create the scene. This is the backmost layer that is going to be a mountain fold. Okay, and then we've got the Black Cat layer. Okay, and this is going to be a valley fold. Okay, so we're going to do that after we get everything assembled. So go ahead at this point. I want you to just put all the panels on the front and the back and the sides of the Paperscape box card. Okay guys, so we have front and the back nice and assembled with the panels. I'm just going to go ahead and pre-fold the tabs and the score areas so that we have them ready to go. And again, just like we did before, what we're going to do is we're going to glue these two pieces together. So I'm just laying them flat, lining them up, making sure that nice and flush at the top and the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this tab here and then just ease it on over. Okay, so hopefully, I know that back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I'm talking probably the 30s and 40s. I know that people used to send Halloween cards. I've been lucky enough to have some people in my life that have sent me Halloween cards. I know it's not, you know, a very popular tradition, but definitely want to maybe bring it back. And worst case scenario, because we've, you know, basically made these with these holes in the back, they're just cool decorations too, you know, and I'm sure you'd have a lot of fun putting these together with your kids. It's almost like carving a pumpkin, sort of, but you know, the machine is doing the cutting for you, and then you're putting them together, and then you get all the glory of putting a little tea light in there and just watching it glow. So actually, we've got that piece together. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to put this orange piece down. Just make sure you've got a nice border all the way around here, and then you got a placeholder for the moon. I'm going to glue that right into place as well. So go ahead and do that, and then we're going to go ahead and finish this thing up. Okay, so we've got the back part of the scene in place. The moon is in place. Everything is nice and folded over. And actually, what we're going to do is just close this thing up. So we're going to put glue on this tab, bring this over, and close that up. So let's go ahead and do that. So as I was saying, I think back in the day, you know, I actually collect vintage Halloween postcards, so I know that was a big thing back in the day. You know, when I go to Target or Hallmark, they have Halloween cards too. You know, they're definitely not as popular as, you know, Christmas cards are, but Halloween's definitely my favorite holiday, so I just had to make some cards to send out to a select few in my family and some of my friends. I know my nieces are gonna love these, so I gotta send them out, and hopefully you guys do too. And I kind of made a joke in the Paperscape box card, or the Christmas Paperscape box card video, where I said, if you guys want to send me one, you can. And I was kind of joking, but I'm kind of not, because I love getting cards in the mail. So on the contact page on 3dsvg.com, there's our P.O. boxes there. I'd love you if you sent me a card. I'd love you forever. All right, so that is in place, and as you saw there, I was kind of folding it over just to make sure that it folds nicely. All right, so we've got that in place, and at this point we can go ahead and finish this thing up. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with this, this little hilly element here. This is going to be a mountain fold. We're going to put glue on both sides here, and we're going to pop it in there. So just right in the center, I think, is probably the best place for that. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, it kind of naturally bends on its own, so you don't really have to bend it too much. Slide it in there, let it kind of just fall to the back. Those tabs need to be flush with the back of the card. Get it nice and lined up. Make sure that it's flush on the bottom. And then you can turn it on its side. Grab your pencil, your poker tool, if you can get your finger in there. If you're a basketball player and you got long fingers, you can use your fingers. I unfortunately was cursed with small fingers. Can't play guitar like I want to. And just make sure that that is sticking and gets a good hold. And as it's semi-dry, we're going to go ahead and bend it both ways just to train it, make sure that it folds and bends, and that looks good. And we can go ahead and finish this off with the main focal point of our card. And we've got a valley fold here on the black cat in the tree. Okay, and we're going to put glue on both of these tabs, slide it in, and get it to hold, and that will actually complete this Paperscape box card. So as you can see, I'm just putting glue on both of these tabs. Okay, I'm going to take it and fold it so it doesn't rub up too much. Slide it in there, nice and easy. Okay, and then actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it upside down just to let gravity kind of push this towards the front, because those tabs need to be flush with the front. Okay, I'm going to just kind of use that edge there to push that into place. Okay, use my little poker to help it get its initial hold, and then when we fold it, that will really get the glue to stick. So just make sure that it's got its initial hold. Get your fingers in there. Okay, and I'm going to flip it like this. Push down here, as well as down here. Just make sure that this is nice and flush. Okay, now when it's got its initial hold, we're going to go ahead and fold it and really get it to grip. Okay, and there we go. And there is your box card. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble the Haunted House Halloween Paperscape box card. And as you can see here, it's a cool, creepy little scene. We've got this little gated fence, and it's kind of a creepy Bates Motel for all you Psycho fans out there, with some really cool oak trees and a moon and all that. So anyway, let's just go over the pieces, just like the last one. We've got the back, okay, And on the back goes a panel, just like this. Just make sure that you've got a nice even border around it. Got a panel that goes here. Make sure that these are nice and aligned up here. And we've got the front. And we've got this panel here. It's going to go right on the front. Just use this piece here with the border here as a reference, and then just kind of make sure that you've got a nice even border all the way around. We've got another panel here just to make sure that these here are nice and aligned. And again, we've got this piece here for stamping or journaling, and it comes with an optional piece that looks like this with a shadow layer underneath it as well with these creepy little wings. So you can pick and choose which one you want to use. Also have this optional piece for down here, completely optional. You don't have to use it, you can if you want. And then we have the two pieces that make up the actual scene. And again, just want to make sure that you glue these as accurately as possible. Okay, and you're going to put glue on the back of this when you put this down. Okay, so just make sure that's nice and lined up. And I would probably use the archway as a guide. You can kind of put your fingers in there and just run it around there just to make sure that's nice and flush. And then obviously, actually, you know, Kyle pointed out that even if it's not perfect, this, you know, one-sided shadow layer looks pretty cool actually. So that's, you know, really up to you on how accurately you want to align it. They are technically perfect and you should be able to overlap them perfectly, but we've given you a little bit of wiggle room left and right just in case you do want to offset it a bit and give it that look. So that's totally up to you. So you're going to glue that just like that. And then we've got this little tombstone scene for the middle part of the Paperscape, and you want to go ahead and just get that glued into place as accurately as possible. So go ahead and do that, get all your pieces glued together, and then we'll go ahead and get this thing assembled. Okay, so we've got all of our panels in place. We've got the main scenes from our Paperscape all glued together. Okay, now when I was talking about the panels and that, I did not mention this at all, because actually you don't want to do anything with this yet. We're going to use these pieces after we partially assemble the box card. So, which is actually what we're going to do now. So what we want to do is we're going to flip this over, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to take the back, and this is the front. We're going to glue these together. Now there's a tab here. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. And I'm just putting these down on my paper, my scrap piece of paper here. Just make sure that you've got them nice and aligned. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this tab here, and then fold it over to glue that down. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's pretty straightforward. All we're doing was just we're kind of closing half of this thing up. And I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen Psycho, which is kind of the inspiration behind this card. And actually was looking at Fandango the other day and noticed that they're actually playing it in theaters in October. So I want to take a special little friend to the movies and freak her out a little bit. So at this point, we've got it half assembled, and just want to go ahead and get the rest of this bent into shape. Okay. And now before we close it up, we're going to take this orange piece and glue it down here, and just make sure that you've got a nice border all the way around. And then you're going to take your moon piece and just glue it right there. We've got a little placeholder for you there. And once you've done that, we'll come back and we will put the rest of the box card together. Okay, so we've got the back piece of the Paperscape in place. We got the moon in place. And at this point, again, I just like to just make sure that I'm just bending these tabs basically at the perforations, just making sure that this thing is ready to fold when I need it to fold, and it will do so with ease and zero resistance. Okay, so just kind of do that. And basically what we're going to do to close this thing up is we're going to put glue here, and then we're just going to lay that over and close it up. Now with the last one, I didn't have enough glue at the edges there, and it kind of wanted to come apart. So just be careful, make sure that you get glue. This is probably the most important piece to glue, that and this piece here that we glued just a minute ago. And that's because it's kind of holding it all together. So just make sure that if you're gonna go crazy with the glue, this is where you do it. Okay, so do your best to get that lined up. Make sure that you got a nice flush bottom there, nice flush at the perforation here, and then fold it down. You can kind of just fold it while you're holding it in place to get that glue to really stick. Okay, and just kind of hold that in place until the glue dries. Okay, so give that just a second. And then we can go ahead and now finish up the box card by putting in the little scenes. Okay, so that's looking really cool as is. And again, we've got two pieces here. The tombstones, you're gonna have a valley fold. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put glue here and stick that in, but I wanna actually start with the back piece. Okay, so I'm gonna put glue on this tab here. Okay, and then I'm gonna put some glue on this tab here. All right, and fold those in so they don't rub up against the side. And then kind of use your fingers to kind of bend this a little bit so that the tabs don't rub too much on the sides. And then once you've got it in place, just kind of push down, push it in, push down in here, make sure that's nice and flush with the back, and then you can lean it on its side, grab your poker, pencil, whatever, and just push down and make sure that gets a good grip. You can even kind of pop it in there too. Make sure that that gets a nice hold. And then you can flip it over like so. And again, I'm making this really awkward on myself just so you guys can see it. It's probably not how I would do it if I was crafting alone and not doing this for you guys, but I really want you to be able to see what I'm doing. And while it's drying, again, oops, something just fell. What was that? Oh, we have a mysterious poker accidents. Okay, so while it's drying, just kind of fold it to train it, and that's got a great hold. It's looking awesome. Okay, so that piece is in place, and finally, we're gonna grab our cool little graveyard tombstone portion of the Paperscape, get some glue on this bad boy, right there. Okay, and again, you got a valley fold there. We're gonna fold this and bend it just a little bit so it doesn't rub up on the side, and then push it towards the front so that those tabs are flush with the face. Okay, and then we're gonna pop it on its side. I'm gonna take my poker and just push down, oops. Gonna push down, make sure that gets a good grip there. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over. And again, real awkward position for me, but so you guys can see how I'm doing this. Make sure that gets a good grip, and while it's drying, now it's got its initial hold, I'm gonna go ahead and bend it and fold it. And that's really gonna get it to stick, okay? And bam, there you go, look at that. That is super cool. Well, that's it. They're actually very simple to put together, and I hope you guys had as much fun putting them together as we did designing them. So I really do hope that you guys make these and send them out to friends and family for Halloween. I know it's not a typical customary thing to send Halloween cards, but you guys are crafters, and I know there's always a reason to send out a card. So if you do make any of these, we'd love to see your version of it. So do us a favor and post your photos on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and make sure to use the hashtag that you'll see at the bottom of your screen here, because we'll be looking for photos using those hashtags, and we're going to select some of them to be included in our Dreamers Gallery. And some of those will also be eligible for gift cards and other prizes as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and hope to see you next time. So this is the part that I want to keep from this, and then I'll figure out the next part. It'll be a separate track, obviously, but... All right, we're doing